Tamba stopped running his 100-meter sprint on the 70-meter mark. Why did you stop? The coach asked him. Well, sir, that's my personal best. Last time, I only managed 65 meters. We are fully in swing now, guys. We are back in full swing. Yesterday was a good start, but I can tell you that the year is never fully back in earnest until our resident personal coach has read from his scriptures to set us off to a new year. And so tonight, Dr. Thando Sibanda is in the house. And I hope you're as excited about that as I am. Good evening and welcome to Opportunity Tuesday. It is your opportunity to develop yourself to your personal best. Don't be like Temba. Don't stop at 70-meter mark. We're going to get you to the 110-meter mark, actually. So if you could not join us yesterday, Happy New Year and compliments of the new season. We are here to make your 2021 much better than last year was. Stay with us on this most powerful 30 minutes of digital content. And I promise you, as they say where I come from, kuzo wina wena. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, as Talk with Rams. We are also on Instagram. But please note that on Instagram, you will not see the beautiful face of Dr. T. You'll only see me. You will hear his voice. So the trick is, go to YouTube so that you can see that face. You can also reach us on WhatsApp via voice notes 067-271-8239. Please participate in this conversation by sending questions and comments on all our platforms, including Twitter, Talk with Rams 1 on Twitter. Dr. Thando Sibanda, good evening.
Good evening, my brother. Compliments of the new year.
And Happy New Year to you too. Thank you for coming back. It was never going to be okay without you.
Hey, man, I wouldn't miss this for anything, man. I've been ready for this platform.
Excellent, Dr. T. Excellent. Wonderful to have you. And I am so giddy about the platform, rather the topic that you chose for today, because, I was thinking about it. Every time we start something new and we're going to get into our cars or go on a new trip, we need a roadmap. And suppose we're getting into a new year, we need a mind map for our lives. And I love this, to create an effective mind map for our lives. Amazing topic, Dr. T.
No, thank you. I think it's very important that we start right. Remember, Rams, things don't end up wrong. They start out wrong. If people can look at a lot of things that have gone wrong, it's because a lot of times they started out wrong. But if you start out right, you are giving yourself a great opportunity to also finish right.
I remember a saying I learned at school, Dr. T, that said, well begun is half done.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
And I still know it by even now. I learned it as a young kid and I remember it forever. So, but of course, Dr. T, these are uncertain times. These are times when the mind, the human psyche is a bit panicky because we've come through serious uncertainty. What are the things to think about?
Yeah. I think it's very important for us to really take stock of where we are and look at the challenge of change and uncertainty, especially on the human psyche. We are in a time of change, and one thing about change is that if it is not managed well, it breeds uncertainty. Whether it's an organization or it's an individual's life, it breeds uncertainty. And uncertainty breeds fear. And then fear breeds panic. Remember, fear is a function of the fact that you are not in control, and we always fear what we can't control. And then the natural progression of fear is panic. I remember when we began 2020, some people were finally thinking, well, I've got a grip on my life. I know where things are going. I've got so much business coming in this year. Things were really looking up and things were looking good. I remember when we first saw the whole Wuhan thing, some people were even joking about the rats in China and this and that and stuff that people eat there. We didn't know that barely 2-3 months later, it was going to totally change the course of our lives. Yeah, and that's what it is. That is exactly what has happened. just the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, on finances, on jobs, on family life, was like nothing that we've ever seen before, so like I was saying that, a change, if not managed well, breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds fear, and fear breeds panic. People went into survival mode. More like what you see when people start looting, it's because the reptilian brain kicks in and it speaks survival. And once survival button is switched on in your brain, reasoning goes out of the window because it's all about seeing the next hour type of life, And so you find that a lot of people went into survival mode and, planning and non-planning and all of that stuff. When we thought we had it figured out, everything went out of the window.
Well, on that note then, Dr. T, let me pastorize Shakespeare and then ask you, to plan or not to plan? What are we worrying about that?
Absolutely. As Prince Hamlet said, to be or not to be, that is the question.
That's the question.
When it is not blind the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. My God, you are getting me going on my poetry.
The bard, don't go to the bard. He's the man. He's the man. The bard.
I'm telling you, hey, Shakespeare, good guy. Now, to plan or not to plan, Rams, and I think it's important for us to think about that because a man without a plan for the future always returns to his past. But the challenge is that the past is for reference, not residence. And so you find that when we don't have plans, we become prisoners of the past, and so our lives don't cease to have progress. In fact, Rams, there's a survey as early as just 2 years back released by DHM Research in Portland, right? This organization, they are respected leaders in opinion research. They found that in the US, only 33% of the population have a life plan that they have committed to in writing to help them guide them through the rest of their lives. Well, we need to understand that better. Inversely, it means that 2/3 of the population in one of the best worlds, one of the first worlds, has no plan for their lives. Can you imagine how that works back towards us here in Africa?
Yeah.
When 2/3 of the population have no plan whatsoever. There is no written down plan. There is no map in terms of where one is going. People are simply existing from day to day and moment to moment. We are literally living out the biology of life and not the kairos of life, not the purpose of life. We are simply cells going through time, and that's why we come up with things like, I need to make a plan. I need to make a plan for today. What's going to happen? No, I'll make a plan. Well, it's because we are reactionary and not proactive in our lives. How many people, if I can ask you, do you know here in Africa, how many people do you know in your circles that have a written down plan that they are committed to? Just from the people, maybe a handful of the people how many of them have actually written down plan that they are following, that they are committed to? A lot of us do the old flimsy New Year thing. Where at quarter to 12, we stand and look at the stars and say, this year I'm gonna lose weight. This year I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. Come the first week of January, it's all gone out of the window and reality hits. And that's the challenge. Yeah. So that's the challenge.
Isn't it though, Dr. T, that perhaps people have planned before, and even maybe people have written down their plans, and because they did not succeed in the past, they then thought, what's the point?
That's a very, very good observation. But remember, the process of planning is a science itself. It's like someone who says, this year I plan to buy a Maserati. Number one, you have no idea how much the insurance will cost you on a monthly basis to actually operate the car and what the needs of the vehicle are. So a lot of times we engage in wishful thinking and substitute that and say, well, we have planned. So there are certain specific things that need to be in place for one to plan. Otherwise, Rams, we are just bouncing from circumstance to circumstance, from year to year, trying to figure things out. And I always say that is why stress levels are high. I remember Les Brown did some research, and they found that strokes and heart attacks go up by 35% on a Monday morning.
Oh,
stress-related things like strokes and heart attacks, 35% on a Monday morning. Why? It's because people have no choice. They have no plans, no choice but to go back to jobs they hate, to be subordinate to bosses they despise. And why? Because I just have to pay bills. So life is all about just paying bills. And so that becomes a challenge, and our bodies are disintegrating as a result because we don't know how to plan well. We don't know how to do things properly.
If a friend of mine, Dr. T, said, he used to say, when he looks around in corporates, all he sees is a circus of people sweating, that people are just sweating, but he does not seem to see anything smarter about the sweat.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we need to shift from sweat to wisdom. And I know this may come as a bit of a tight concept, but I read somewhere in the Jewish writings, right? So the Creator is speaking to one of the created and says, "You shall live by the sweat of your brow." Apparently, it was a moment of cursing, yes. Right? But when you understand it, sweat speaks of exerting physical effort above normal. When you are sweating, it means you are really pushing, right? But then when you progress in the same writing somewhere, it says he gives his beloved sleep. You can live from wisdom. But when you look at it, actually, the difference between sweat and wisdom is a mindset. Because sweat speaks to your muscles, speaks to physical exertion. But wisdom is a function of an open mind. So a lot of people are okay to engage life from their sweat because that's how our fathers did it. Boss gives me a paycheck, I need to throw in as many hours as I can, and I work hard and I sweat. I need to live from the sweat of my bro. I know that, I trust that. But there's another dimension where we can live from wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is the right application of knowledge, where we can renew our mind, where we can be open to understanding wealth, how to create wealth. Now we're not talking paycheck. Now we're talking understanding wealth. How do I create wealth? How do I attract wealth? How do I sustain wealth? What do I need to do? It's a whole new game that requires one to become a student. So to move from sweat to wisdom is simply a gap of the mind, because it means moving from the muscles to actually engaging these mental muscles. So there is a gap there. And that is why it's important for us to think differently and engage in this concept of mind mapping.
Well, then on that note, Dr. T, talk to us about the concept of mind mapping. What is that?
Right. In fact, the concept of mind mapping. I borrowed it from one guy that brought. His name is Tony Buzan, who brought it into mainstream, into the mainstream academia. And his main concept is just on the fact that when one is taking notes, whether you are researching or you are planning, sometimes taking notes you end up with a lot of pages that have a lot of things that are scribbled on them. But he came up with a point where you can literally draw visual diagrams that help you link your main points and link to the sub points, And so at the end of the day, in one page or one A4, you can literally have your whole presentation or your whole research. So that whether you are speaking or you are presenting or you just want to remember where you are going and what the whole thing is about, you've got the whole thing there. You can organize your thoughts more productively, And because mind maps are two-dimensional in structure, they show you the shape of what you're dealing with. They show you the relative importance of each point and how the facts relate to each other. And so as a personal development expert, I realized that actually we can use the same concept in terms of having a mind map for your life, and not just for a research project at work, no, for your life. where you can literally see and understand where you are going and how this fits there and what you need to do there, fitting there, so that wherever you go, you've got your bearings.
I was about to say that, Dr. T, that they say when sailors go on sea, the most important is to have bearing, because then you can plan your route much better when you have your bearing.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, your bearings, Rams, they make sure that you are not lost even if you are lost. Because your bearings give you a sense, not just a vestibular sense in terms of my balance and this and that, but you understand where you are and where you are going. Even if a wind blows you off, but if you've got your bearings, you can always come back on course. There's nothing as comforting as getting lost with a guy who knows his way around, Because that man, he says, no. If you see that tower over there, it means we are going there. Even though we now face this direction, I know how to get us back on track. So you know that even if you are lost, you are not lost. Why? Because you've got your bearings. That's what a mind map does. A mind map for your life gives you certain ingredients that then enable you to have your bearings in terms of where you are going. And I think it's important for our viewers and our listeners as we start off the year to have these bearings in terms of where everyone is going, right?
Well, Dr. T, I'll tell you what, I've got my notebook here, I've got my pen. I'm waiting for you to give me the ingredients then of this mind map. What do I need to do?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think let me premise it by saying that we need to depart from being New Year's Eve resolution makers. There is nothing more detrimental to progress in one's life than to see your life as 12 calendar month chunks. Because then you don't have a big picture about where you are going. So one of the key ingredients of a mind map is the big picture. This big thing called vision. I know people when they talk about vision, a lot of people can't get what it's all about. In a simple word, this word vision simply is, what's the big picture? What am I all about? Where am I going? What's my life all about? What do I want out of life? What is my life direction? See, to have a mind map, you need to know, first of all, where you are going. And the powerful thing about dreaming, Rams, and about vision is that we dream and we envision despite our circumstances. Oh. So it doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor. The poorest guy can actually envision himself living in a palace. So our capacity, our mental capacity to dream and to envision means that we are not limited by our circumstances, because we can dream big even in small spaces.
And you reckon that's not reckless, Dr. T? What moderates it? Is it? But you have to be realistic. What moderates this dream big?
Now, this is the structure I spoke about in the beginning.
Yes.
When I said that when someone is creating a mind map or when someone is setting goals, the goals that you set, it's not just the initial thought. No, there is a framework where everything must align. Then we know that the vision has some direction in it. So the first ingredient is you must have that big picture. What am I all about? Who am I? But that is based on the second ingredient, which is very critical, which is self-knowledge. So while you have this big picture where you've got your end in sight, you always begin from the end in sight. The beauty is that our vision is unlimited and not dependent on stimulus. We can dream in spite of where we are at. But we need self-knowledge. And self-knowledge simply answers the question, who am I? See, a lot of times we dream, but without knowing ourselves. A lot of people dream of being a pilot, but they are terrible in maths.
Of course, or they just have a fear of heights. I mean,
you've got a fear of heights, but you are dreaming of being a pilot. You see, so there the challenge is that I've captured a picture, but I don't have self-knowledge.
Yes.
So self-knowledge, your mind map, right next to vision must always be self-knowledge. Who am I? Self-knowledge is critical because you will then know, it will help you to know where to pitch yourself. Too many people are in relationships, in jobs, in partnerships, and in lives they don't like because of a lack of self-knowledge. They just didn't know how and where to pitch themselves. And sometimes we overextend ourselves into areas where we are not gifted for. Are you a facilitator? Are you a communicator? Are you a builder? Are you a visionary? Yes. Know yourself.
Well, as that great Greek philosopher Socrates said, know thyself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Know thyself.
You see, it's very liberating also, Rams, because when you know yourself, then you're not competing with anyone. You are running in your own lane. You don't care about the Joneses next door. You know, you are entirely liberated from peer pressure because once you know yourself, you can be then true to yourself. And that's your ultimate responsibility, being true to yourself.
How then, Dr. T, do I bring this grand vision and the knowledge of myself? How do I find congruency between the two? What does it lead to?
Right. Now, that's where now the concept of goals comes in. See, you can't have a goal without a vision. Otherwise, your goals are not speaking to the big picture.
Yes.
And you can't attain goals without self-knowledge. Otherwise, you are going to set goals that are going that way when your skill set is going that way. So first of all, is set your vision, set your big picture, then know yourself. This is who I am. This is what I'm gifted in. And then thirdly, then you can set congruent goals. Congruent goals are consistent goals, matching goals, where you are now breaking down your vision into actionable goals. And this is very important, Rams, because a goal is exactly like what it is in soccer. A goal simply means that all effort is for the ball to cross the line. It's only a goal when the ball crosses the line. Before that, it's effort. And remember, you can't win a match with just good defense, Rams, because defense is about maintaining the status quo, keeping things as they are, not conceding. And that's where a lot of us live our lives. You know, I just need enough not to concede, you know, so that when the debits come, you know, I don't concede, I don't go into the red, you know. And so we actually measure ourselves as only good enough to pay bills. So our budgets are defensive budgets. They are for the rent, they are for the car, they are for the grocery, they are for the this, that's a defensive budget, just enough to buy groceries and pay bills and cover debts. But we don't go on the offensive. We don't save, we don't invest, and we don't think into that. I have held a lot of interviews where I ask someone, what do you want to get paid? And they say to me, I want just enough for transport and rent. Right there, I know that this is not a dreamer. This person is going to become a liability. Because they'll be sitting here at work and they'll be thinking, how can I make extra money to actually send home? Because that did not feature in how they valued their input in terms of what comes back. You know, and so the default calculation is based on a defensive mindset that says, you know what, I don't have a growth element in me. You know what, I just want to be defensive to cover everything that's coming at me. But to win, you need to score goals.
Maybe your next point is going to address this, but I need to put this question to you that comes from Enoch.
Right.
Enoch says, planning is not easy, Dr. T. My plan for this year is to open my workshop and buy 1,400 small vans.
Okay.
I'm thinking he's talking about the dozen 1,400 small van, not 1,400 small vans. I think he's talking about buying a van of dozen for 1,400. And then he says, this can only happen if I can get a small project to do that. Now, I think he's dreaming big, but he probably needs a skill set. He needs tools. He needs tools to get
there. Absolutely. Remember, it's first of all, it's vision, self-knowledge, congruent goals. Then you need the tools. Now, the tools are a combination of two elements. The first element is what is called mindset. Mm-hmm. The second one is called skill set. So for you to get to a goal, you need to have a mindset. That's the first thing. Are you open to learn, to grow, to adapt, to be challenged? Are you open to configure and reconfigure? Because one of the challenges that when some people set a goal, even if it's not going to work, or even if the timing is not right, they don't want to change. So they would rather work themselves into oblivion simply because they did not have the mindset that can accommodate where they want to go. So the mindset will allow you to set the timing. Remember, a car that does not have a right timing, any machinery whose timing is off, even if it's a great machinery, will not get you there. So the mindset needs to be there. Where am I open to learning new things? We grew up with a paycheck from bus model where we knew I go to work, I clock in my hours, I get a paycheck, and that's where we lived our lives from. But now the language is different. Now you've got investments, you've got gold stocks, you've got cryptocurrency, and blockchain, all of these emerging things. But a lot of us are not able to transcend our fiat mindset to actually engage these emerging economies and to know what to do, whether I'm buying stocks. And our mindsets are just not there. So the mindset will keep you from actually achieving great things. You see, and then of course, the mindset can become your biggest asset, but it can also become your biggest liability. And then secondly, your skill set. This is where you take an audit of the skills you have and consider where they pitch you towards achieving your goals. Are you at an advantage or not? Do you need to upskill or outsource? See, these are very critical things that now when we talk about creating a mind map and we're talking about vision and goals, it's not just wishful thinking. All this framework, once you follow it, then you start having an idea in terms of what's really possible and what's not possible.
So basically, Enoch, what I'm hearing from Dr. T is that, yes, you have a plan, you've got this big vision, but do you have, for me, the skill set is so important. And by the way, for me, Dr. T, the skill set is not only the fact that Enoch can fix cars if that workshop is a motor mechanic cars, but can he run a business? Because it's not only about fixing cars. There are two different things.
Absolutely.
There's running a business and there's fixing cars. That's a technician. A guy who fixes cars is a technician. There's also a guy who runs a business. That's a different thing altogether.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of factors. Remember, he's got to think marketing. He's got to think, raising capital. Capital that speaks to the vision. Our problem is that we only generate operating capital. We have no marketing budget. We've got no cushions. We don't quite understand the concept of running a business. And I remember in Randburg, I met this guy working at the battery center. He's been there for 25 years, a brilliant guy in putting batteries. I said, but why don't you start your own business? He says, I don't have an idea how to even do. I only know batteries. So he's got a skill set, but doesn't have a mindset. And so his dreams are limited already. His goals are limited, And so Enoch needs to consider that.
Okay, Dr. T, let's conclude quickly.
All right.
What actions do we need to take?
Right. The last thing, of course, in these ingredients is the action set. Yeah. Once you have the tool set, you need an action set. What critical steps are going to be taken at specific times? What am I going to do today? What can I do this year? There is no goal attainment without action. No matter how much we sit and deliberate, at some point, the rubber has to hit the road. Which and how many actions are you taking this year to secure your decade? What is the smallest step you can take today in the direction that you want to go in? I think that framework, Rams, creates a mind map through which we can all then walk into a future, and we can hold that no matter how much uncertainty comes into our lives, we can hold that as something that will bring direction to us.
Oh, wow. Now, let me make it easy for our guys as we conclude. We can get you into this road much quicker. So what's going to happen this year is that this show is going to change a bit. We're going to get you in the room differently from this. So we are creating a group where everybody who's interested sits in their room with Dr. T every time we do this. And all we will broadcast are the snippets of the conversations. So if you really want to get there, if you really want proper tools to get there, you want to be in the room. So we will be inviting you. Come and join us. We're going to do this now. It's going to look like webinars of some sorts. And only snippets of them will be at 7:30 where everybody else can see. But if you want to really be part of this movement, this year we are inviting you inside the room for free. As many of you as possible who can join and become part of the conversation to get the skill set, the mindset, so that then you can achieve those goals, however big that vision may be. I know Dr. T can help you. So that's the route we're taking. The next time you're going to see this show completely different, because all it's going to be public is going to be snippets of the real thing that is happening inside. It's your choice whether you want to sit inside or outside. I invite you inside, but that invite is not indefinite. We got to take it soon. Dr. T, I am now very confident that I can start this year in earnest.
Thank you, my brother. I'm very, very encouraged as well. And I love our approach this year. Let's be practical. Let's take our people from A to Z. I think that's very important.
Exactly. We're going to get practical. We're going to get conversational. We're going to be interactive. All of us in a closed room. Yes, electronic or a virtual closed room, but everybody will be in the room, and we do it that way. It's no longer a show. What we do in that room, we'll then take it out and broadcast the show. But what is important in that room is that we are all a team working together to get ourselves to where we want to get to.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Dr. Tando Banda, thank you so much. And I wish you an amazing, amazing 2021. Much better than the 2020 that you gave us.
No, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to this season. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Folks, look out for communication from us. Do join the room. The show is going to change completely. And I hope that you become part of it. From me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.